Hi, April. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. It's a lovely day here in Aotearoa, New Zealand,
Do you
and
want
I
to tell
can't complain.
everybody what that means?
Yeah, I mean it's New Zealand's original name before colonization.
Wow.
It's the name. It means long white cloud.
Does it
Aotearoa.
really?
Yeah, because New
Oh,
Zealand is like if you look at it, it looks
is
like
it
a
the
long
shape?
white cloud, the island. Um,
Oh, that's cool. I love this stuff.
yeah. Now you know.
Now I know.
April, guess what?
What?
When this episode is released, I will be at your house.
Oh my God. I totally forgot about that. No, I didn't
I
forget that you were
know.
coming, but I forgot that it would be at the same time. Oh my God.
I'm so excited. The
That's so
day it's released,
exciting.
I will be at your house.
Ah, reunited and it feels so good.
What should we do? I really want to get my nails done. Can we do that?
Absolutely. Don't say no to that.
Your nails always look good. Like I always associate you with good nails.
Ah, thanks. You know
Mhm.
why I always have my nails done?
Tell me.
Is because in undergrad I worked as a nutrition rep in the hospital
Mm.
and like dealing with supplements and things like that for the patients, but I had to work out of the kitchen and they didn't let us wear nail polish. So
Uh,
I just felt very deprived for 3 years of my life. So
uh,
after that, after I was set free, no, I'm just kidding. But after I left the job because I was going to Alabama for our master's program, I said, now it's time, and I'm never
nice
not
nails.
having my nails done again.
I love
Except for
it.
when I did our food service rotation.
Yeah. I still have a really funny video of finding you. It was during my clinical rotation, and I went down because you could get free soda all day, no matter what time. And I went down one of my breaks, and I was getting like whatever a Diet Coke with crushed ice. And I look out across, and you're like in the kitchen with your hairnet on. And I took a video of you, and I was like, "Hot Mama Llama!" Like
Yeah, I
in the
remember
kitchen.
that.
It was so funny. Aw.
Maybe
Oh,
if
the
everyone,
days.
maybe if I'm feeling really generous, I'll let you put that up on our Instagram page and people can see it.
I have a lot of beef on you from grad school.
More hairnet pictures.
I've got hairnet pictures. I've got eating picture. A lot of pictures of you eating.
There's one you sent me where I was making like walrus teeth with Twix or something or Kit
Yep.
Kats.
Yeah.
I'm sure I have a lot on you too.
I'm sure you do somewhere.
That was fun. But I'm so excited. You know what I always think of
What?
when someone's coming to visit or I go traveling someplace is where are we gonna eat?
Where are we going to eat? I would love
Well,
some authentic Mexican food. You can't get authentic Mexican food in New Zealand.
that was what I was gonna say is that's what we're known for over here in these parts. So
Oh, I'm so excited.
we'll ask Joe because he loves Mexican food and he always has really good places for recommendations, like the good, authentic stuff, not the Americanized things. So we'll get some good Mexican food, some good margaritas. We'll get our nails done. We'll say
Yes.
no to that.
I'm so excited. We'll record something for everyone.
Or go live or something like
Maybe
that.
we'll
We'll
get a
figure
real
it.
picture together because in the whole
Yes,
year of us being friends, we didn't get one good, normal picture of the two of us.
which is so wild because we took so many pictures during graduation and for
Not
graduation.
together.
But why?
I don't know. I don't even have a good picture of just me from graduation.
I don't really either, actually. Well, I take that back. I'm remembering now I do have some good ones.
Yeah. Yeah,
How
I
do you
just
not have any? Did you just forget to
because
ask? Some
I
good
was
ones.
taking them all with my family. Like it was like
Mm,
me and my mom, me and my best friend, me and my sister, me and my grandparents, and
right.
then just like different combinations of all of those people.
But not just you.
But not just me. Like I asked for one good picture of me by myself from my best friend, and she sent me there. She's one photo of me outside of the arena, and I'm like this with my
Oh my
with
God.
my diploma, and
In
that's
case,
it. That's what I got.
and no one, you're not watching the YouTube video,
I just
Kelsey just
shaka.
said, is that what it is? I was gonna
I
say
think
like
no,
the
maybe
rocker
yeah. I just
sign.
shaka. Yeah, yeah,
Is that what it's called? I was like gonna say the rocker
yeah. It's a
sign.
shaka. I shaka with my tongue out. Oh,
Tongue
maybe
out.
I love you. I don't remember whichever one.
with it's like your thumb, your index finger, and your pinky are sticking out, and your middle finger. Wait, what's this finger called?
Your ring finger, the one with
Your
your
ring
ring
finger.
on
Oh.
it.
Listen, I'm slow today because I'm not feeling well. So your ring finger and your middle finger are bent, and her tongue was sticking out. Just to paint a picture for all of you who are not watching the YouTube video.
Yeah, that's the only photo I have of myself from getting my master's. Woo!
That's really funny, actually.
But
Yeah, we'll have to get a good picture together. We'll have, I mean, it won't be Will, but we'll have Joe come out and take us some pictures. He does a good job.
I know. I'll have to leave my Kiwi boyfriend over here while I go and explore.
Does he know when he's going to catch up with you?
I think we're going to try to have him come at Thanksgiving so that, like, we're just trying to work it out the best with getting his visa and all of his, like, things sorted. But we think we found a loophole so that he can come the week of Thanksgiving, which is good because we're going to go see my aunt in California. So Will can just fly from New Zealand and meet us in California and then fly back.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's so much closer than getting all the way to Alabama.
Alabama with the fan band. I know. But yeah,
that's exciting. Well, I'm so excited to see you. It's gonna be so much fun. I can't wait to show you around. Kelsey was one of my bridesmaids, but she wasn't able to make it over to our wedding in March because of the pandemic. So I still have her bridesmaid's dress sitting in my closet here. So
what am I gonna wear it for?
Give it back to you.
Also, I never got to give you your wedding gift because
you don't have to get it.
Well, I know. Well, I had something like really special in mind, and then I was like, oh, but I want to like give it, so maybe I'll make it happen so that when I get there, I'll be able to like hand it to you.
Present it.
Yeah, present it. It's actually a thing. It's just a foot massage. No, just kidding.
Hey, I wouldn't say no to a foot massage. Actually,
Happy
you know
marriage.
who loves a foot massage is Joe, because then I don't have to give him one. So it's not a terrible idea.
Okay, this is a question that I think I've experienced, but Joe loves pedicures, right?
I feel like I wouldn't say loves pedicures, but I don't think he would turn it down. My dad loves pedicures. So every time my dad comes to visit, he wants to go get them. So all three of us go together. I know, it's the best. It's so much fun. And Joe never says no.
That's so cute.
So the three of us just go together. It's so much fun. Don't say no to a good pedicure.
Oh my gosh. I love a good pedicure. Will has really ticklish feet, so I don't think. Also, he's very like, for the most part, he's very chill. Like, and he's able to, like, he's very I would say he's a feminist. He's just like whatever goes. Yeah, he's definitely a feminist, but he's just kind of like whatever goes. But there are certain things that I just don't think he will ever be able to cross the line on. And I think
the pedicure one of them.
Yeah, I think getting his nails done is one of those things. Like, I think he would just be like, "I'm sorry, I just don't know if I can do it."
Well, you know what? He is really missing out because it even just like gives your nails a good buff. Like you don't. That's what my dad and Joe usually get. They just get their nails like buffed, and let me tell you, his feet look really good afterwards.
I bet. I mean, I clip Will's nails. I do his nails because
I wouldn't have to do that anymore.
I know, but it's actually kind of fun. Like, I enjoy it.
Oh,
so during lockdown, if you know me, you know that I am one of those people that I pick a hobby every now and then I just like let that become my personality for about I don't know, a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year, depends. And then I completely drop it. So during lockdown, I bought myself like a gel nail kit, and I was like, I'm gonna do nails. This is my
gosh, I didn't know that. How did you like it?
If you can tell, I don't have them because I am really, really bad at it. I've done it 3 times.
Really?
And and it's like I've got like the whole curing, I've got the gel, I've got the top base coats, like I bought the whole thing. And I really enjoy doing nails. Like, I find it quite soothing, and it's like just like a little bit of me time. Like, I'll put on a podcast or music and do my nails with it. But I'm just not a pro yet, and it's been really difficult. It's like a learning curve.
How I don't mean this how it's gonna sound, but how are you bad at it?
It's just like
You
it
just
just
stick your
doesn't.
nails under the thing.
I know,
Right?
but like to do the gel, you have to. I don't know because it hardens in like a minute.
Uh-huh.
So if and like the way that the one that I have is like it's a gel that you put underneath a like mold kind of thing. So if it's not perfectly around the mold, it doesn't
A
cure
mold?
correctly. Like it's like a plastic just like nail shaped mold and you use it to put the gel underneath of it and kind of shape the nail.
What?
I
So
know.
it's not just like it's not like what they use in the nail salons that literally just looks like normal nail polish.
No, it is. It's like a gel that hardens and you can make
But
like
I'm
tips with it.
oh, so you're doing acrylics.
Yeah, but it's like a gel acrylic kind of thing. It's not an acrylic. It's like a gel
So you're
nail that
putting a
you can.
tip on.
Yes,
Okay, so that makes more sense.
it's hard.
That makes more sense. That would be difficult.
Obviously, I don't know enough about this to be telling anyone what I'm
That's an
doing.
acrylic.
But
If it was,
it looks
well,
bad.
the acrylic is like the acrylic tip, and then you can choose to put normal nail polish, gel, or dip on top of it.
Yes, but it's yeah,
So you're doing acrylics.
I guess so. It's
So
hard, and
you
I'm
could
not good at it.
try doing just the gel on just your nail, just your plain nail,
That's a good idea. I might do
no
that.
tip, because I think you'd be good at that.
I
Because
know,
that's
but
just like
now
normal nail
to
polish.
do it, you have to trim your nails really short. So now my nails are really short.
Oh, for the
So
tip.
now I have to grow them out if I want any
I
type of.
would not even try to attempt to do acrylics on myself, so I applaud you for that.
Thank you, April. It was difficult, and I think that I've given up on this hobby.
Well, it's okay. We try. Um, question though,
Okay.
the brand and company that you ordered from, if you like air user, you obviously struggle using it, but if you could use it and you had to use it, would you like that brand? Does that make sense? Do you
I
like the
think
brand
so.
that you ordered?
I think so. I am still trying to decide if like they don't last for very long, but I'm wondering if it's because
Really?
I'm doing it incorrectly or
Okay.
if the like product isn't very good.
Okay. Because that's the whole thing is they're supposed to last longer.
Yeah.
So
I'm not sure yet.
maybe we should just switch this podcast away from nutrition and just start
Talk
reviewing
about nails.
different nail kits.
Yeah. I don't know. Or maybe I'll just start paying someone else to do it.
Listen, that's what I do.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah, they'll probably do a better
So
job.
normally I do just gel on my normal nails. But the other day on Instagram, I saw someone who had acrylics tips and in like this tan color, and I thought it looked really good. So I might try to do that. But I did get tips, like you're talking about, the tips on top of your nail for the wedding or for our
Mhm.
wedding.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it looked amazing in pictures, but after about like a week or two, I was like, get these things off of me. I cannot deal with them
Ugh.
because they're too long. So
I really want one of those like the new trendy nails with like the
yes,
loopy, like the funky loopy
I did
thing.
that earlier on the summer. It was so much fun.
I want that. I
Mhm.
want to be trendy so bad.
All I want is to be trendy and fit
Like
in.
I'm trying to pack for the States and I have a lot of clothes. And to try to narrow it down, I went on Instagram and I liked like I found like my favorite fashion people on Instagram,
Uh-huh.
made a folder for it and only packed outfits that fit that theme because I was like there's no
I
way I can
love
bring all
that.
that. So
That is
that's how
how
I
you
brought it.
should be doing it.
Yeah. Cuz now I'm
That's
like
amazing.
it's on theme. All I'm bringing is neutrals.
That's yeah. Hmm.
Because it's trendy. But also I just really like it. And I don't know. I'm excited to come and bring cool outfits and actually like go outside. Are you okay?
Sorry guys, I just choked on my water. Apparently, I can't swallow thin liquids. I agree with you on the neutrals.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
And everything matches and I can just wear everything. And like all my shoes are either black or brown. So that's fun.
Perfect. Then you can reuse things. I'm sure you can do laundry while you're in
Yeah.
Alabama too.
Yeah.
I
Also I've
love it.
got
You
one
can do
pair of
laundry while you're here
jellies.
too. Huh?
I've got a pair of pink jellies and I'm like, should I bring them? Probably
Yes.
not. Wrong season.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Shall we carry on?
We shall.
We shall. Okay. I'm first, right? Research?
Yeah. Okay, so we'll be right back after this quick break with our research segment. Bye.
Yay. Bye.
I have this song stuck in my head.
Thank
and I can't remember what movie it's from, but it's from one of those like early 2000s movies that we grew up with. Actually, I think it's from A Cinderella Story with Hilary Duff. The one that goes, just another day, started out like any other.
Oh, yeah.
What a classic.
Don't think I remember that song, but it's a vibe.
It is. And I will try to remember what scene it's in and let you know. So maybe they'll trigger a memory for you.
Maybe.
But I'm pretty sure it's that movie.
All right.
Anyways, research time.
Research time. Are you guys ready?
We are excited, waiting with bated breath.
I'm super stoked. So this week we are talking all about carbs, and I found some research that related to carbs and just something that, I don't know, I found interesting, and I hope you guys do too. So
lay it on us.
This week we are talking about glycemic index.
That's why you stopped me last week.
I know. I know it. So
I'm so glad we're talking about this. Great.
It's a really cool one. And it's, I don't know, I just find it interesting. I don't know, like there's so many different diets out there and information, and I just like, if we can at least 1 week at a time break down a little bit, I think it's helpful.
Absolutely.
So we are talking about the glycemic index diet, low glycemic index in general. So first of all, glycemic index is just a number, and it just gives you an idea about how fast your body converts the carbs in a food into glucose. So when we eat carbs, all carbs, no matter what kind of carb it is, turns into glucose. We digest it. And this number can be affected by things like fat in the food, fiber, acid, how long it's cooked, how ripe it is, things like that. It really just looks at the rate that carb turns into glucose in your body.
And just a quick interjection for those of you who may not know, glucose is sugar.
Yeah. Same.
So if you've heard blood sugar, blood glucose, glucose, sugar, it's all one and the same.
Yeah, exactly. And something to think about here too is when you hear like blood sugar, and your blood sugar rising or falling or things like that, that all is carb related and just food related. So when you're eating, our blood sugar will rise because we've just eaten food, and that food turns into energy and glucose, and your blood takes it up. And when it's moving the glucose to your cells, that's when your blood sugar is high. So that's kind of like, if it gives you a little breakdown of what that means. So the low glycemic diet is when you opt for lower glycemic index foods and restrict high glycemic index foods. Now, restriction is lame. We've talked about it, and we'll talk about it a lot more, but bear with me for a little bit where I'm going to talk about it a little bit, but it is a diet. And if you can't tell by now, we aren't fans of restriction or diets. But anyway, so low glycemic foods are whole grains, most fruits, vegetables, legumes, things like that, that often have a lot of fiber in them. They might have some fat in them. They might have, different things, but really it's things that have other components that slow down digestion, where high glycemic foods are things like white flour, fructose syrup, refined sugars, things like that, where a lot of the fiber has been stripped away. For example, like white flour, the inside of the grain has been taken out and is only used, and it gets rid of the outside of the grain, which is where all the fiber is and the fat in that grain. So when you are just consuming the outs or the inside, it's going to quicken your digestion a lot more. And how I remember it from grad school and from undergrad, I guess, was it's like a race car. The smaller and more stripped back the grain is, or the food is, the faster it's going to digest.
Oh, so you're saying the race car is lighter?
Yeah, the lighter that a race car is, the less it has on it, the faster it'll be.
I haven't heard that comparison yet, but I like it.
That's just how I remember it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it makes sense, but
no, I think it makes sense because a lighter car will move faster.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
And that wheat kernel has the bran, germ, and endosperm in it. And from what Kelsey is referring to, when wheat or sugar is refined, it removes some of those key components from the inside, like fat and fiber and different micronutrients, which makes it your body process it a lot faster, more broken down.
Yeah, exactly. So really, this is all just about the rate that your body uptakes the glucose, which could mean that your blood sugar gets higher faster or higher slower.
I have a thought, which I save my thought till later, about why high glycemic index foods are good.
I talk about it a little bit.
Okay, I'll save it for later.
Yeah. Okay, so the research that I initially pulled, it's a literature review of a bunch of studies with a total of 1,940,968 adults. So a lot of people were looked at for it's a literature review of a bunch of different systematic reviews, meta-analysis. So big studies that looked at a lot of people.
It's a mix of men, women,
a bunch of different groups. Yeah.
Awesome.
So this whole thing revealed that there was no consistent differences in BMI when comparing the highest with the lowest dietary glycemic index groups. So this means that no matter if you're eating a lot of low glycemic index foods or high glycemic index foods, it does not affect your weight.
Couldn't have put it better myself.
I know. So this is just
1 million people. It's hard not to rely on that data.
Yeah, exactly. So this is just one more piece of evidence for me that weight doesn't matter at all. So every body is different, and it's always going to be more than just what you're eating. It's the behavior, it's the relationships with food, things like that. And you know, carbs are just carbs, as I said earlier. They are all processed the same way. And once they're digested, they're the same exact chemical, glucose, whether it's from an apple, a bowl of quinoa, a cookie. Once it's in your body, it's glucose. That's it. It's all processed the same way. So that's kind of like what I'm pulling from the carb side of things. Also, this study is such a bummer because it only focuses on weight. And weight does not equal health, guys. And like just looking at this, when looking at all the other biomarkers, anthropometrics, things that you can look at, weight is one of the least important. As you can see here, like whatever you're eating, weight just like isn't even an important factor at all. And in clinical, sorry.
I have a question before I forget it. Did they look at A1C at all?
Well, I will talk about this in a little bit, but yes, I looked at another study that does talk about A1C.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I hate that the study only looks at weight because it doesn't look at any other factors. And it's just like, well, yeah, it doesn't matter for weight loss if you're having low or high glycemic index. Because
I like how you changed your voice just then. You're like, well, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, like, I'm pretending to be a researcher.
That's what I got from that. I love it.
But I forgot what I was saying. Oh,
sorry,
like,
I didn't mean to throw you off track.
No, that's okay. They're just not looking at any of the other factors, and yeah, like weight just isn't. To me, it just doesn't seem as important. So, in general, like when we're in clinical, especially like I feel like April, you experience this a lot. When we're looking at weight, we're only really looking at if someone is severely malnourished or if they've had some crazy changes in weight recently. Is that a thing for you too? Because like that's what I notice.
That is a loaded question because there's a difference between what a lot of like the healthcare system wants you to evaluate versus what clinicians evaluate. So like the healthcare system wants us to really focus on BMI and use that as an indicator for a lot of things, whether that's malnutrition or overweight.
Yeah.
Me as a personal clinician, I trend weights to look for aggressive weight loss, in which case that could indicate someone's malnourished, or even aggressive weight gain, which could indicate that someone maybe has a lot of fluid accumulation.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
something like that. So I look at it more by trends, kind of like you mentioned, or of course, if it's really low, diagnosing malnutrition. But in regards to, it's just different because, of course, the hospital system wants you to use, a lot of the healthcare systems in America want you to use BMI for looking at obesity and things like that.
Yeah. And another point that I even wrote out here is that it's such a bummer that so many health professionals default to weight as their main recommendation. It's like lose weight. Which is especially when they're just assuming a body needs to lose weight without looking at any other biomarkers or even just investigating further as to what could be going on. So many people, they go to a doctor and they say, hi, I'm having this issue. And they go, it's because you're overweight. And it's like, oh my gosh, just that is probably not related, or it could be, and there's other stuff going on. Weight loss is not going to do anything, but also 97% of diets mean weight gain, end up in weight gain. So that is just like diagnosing someone or giving a treatment to someone that they know 90% of the time, 97% of the time is not going to work.
And I think I have two thoughts on this, and I'm going to say a thought that's going to open a can of worms, but we don't have to address the can of worms until later. But first thought is that the amount of times I've been told by individuals who've come to me for nutrition help that they've been told by their doctor to just go on a 1,500 or 1,200 calorie diet is just astounding and upsetting, because that is way too low for any adult. That's the can of worms I wanted to open up, but that's a whole other topic to address. But what's interesting is I actually know a good amount of med students, and I was chatting with a few of them a few weeks ago, and they know that I'm a dietitian, and we were talking, and they were saying that they really get pretty much next to no nutrition education in med school, and they're very aware of that. They pretty much get no education at all. So I think, well, of course, that's why we have our specialty, so that we can provide proper education. But I think that's such a default in our healthcare system. Doctors tend to be, they are like spearheading healthcare in a lot of realms. So they should be aware of these things and not be giving false information without having the education. So really, our education system needs to totally change. So
yeah, definitely. And keep in mind, as individuals, when you go to the doctor, you can always refuse to get your weight taken or to learn your weight.
Absolutely.
Like personally, for me, knowing my weight is really triggering. So like I just ask, like it doesn't have to be a thing. It could be real chill. And I just say, hey, can you not tell me my weight? Can I turn around on the scale? And they're like, yeah, sure. Especially if I have like a female nurse or a female doctor, it's super easy. And you can request that too. It can be super chill. And also if you find that there's a doctor that is telling you things that are like this, the doctor works for you. You don't work for them. So you can fire your doctor and find a new one.
Take control of your healthcare.
Well, a lot of people just go, oh, this is the doctor I was given. This is my insurance that covers this person. I'm going there. And then they realize, oh, this doctor's not great. You can fire your doctor and find a new one.
I like the way you're phrasing it, fire your doctor.
and there's a lot of HAES professional health at every size professionals out there, which is HAES. And if you are looking for that, you can ask a doctor's office if they have any HAES healthcare workers there to help you too. So yeah. That's my 2 cents on all of that.
I have so much more to say, but I'm not going to, because this could be like a 5-hour podcast, and I'm sure eventually we'll get to talking directly about those things. Yes. So I'm interested to hear about this other study.
So yeah, I did look at some other studies, none specifically. I just pulled up a bunch of different meta-analysis, things like that, just to kind of see what else the glycemic index, is doing out there. And there are a lot of studies that say that, following glycemic index diet can be helpful for diabetes, cancer prevention, and cardiometabolic risk. But we know this. Like fiber is good. Eating with diversity is good. Like we know that that's a good thing. Having fats and proteins and flavors with food is better and good for you, and it's better than just eating carbs by themselves. Like we know this. Like for example, I enjoy having a bagel with cream cheese and smoked salmon and veggies on it a lot more than just a bagel by itself. Not only because it slaps, but because it also makes my body feel good and feel more energized. And it does, stabilize my blood sugar a little bit better. So, you know, instead of feeling like you need to restrict the foods that are maybe higher in glycemic index, when you are able to pair them with things or just enjoy them as they go and listen to your body, you can find that balance and do things that make you feel good.
Absolutely. And I think I have a client right now who is diabetic, and I think that's such a good example to use with glycemic index. So for those of you who don't know, someone who is diabetic is even more sensitive to sugar than someone who is not diabetic. So you would think that this type of diet would be perfect for them, right? But I don't, even for my patient who is diabetic, I guess in a sense, I teach a lot of the same strategies that type of the low glycemic index diet employs, but just from a different angle. It's more about what you said. So I always say, make sure your things with fiber will less likely spike your blood sugar, or, focusing on adding fats and proteins along with your carbohydrates. But of course, if you're focusing on these disease states like diabetes, that it's kind of a whole different ballgame than just your normal average person who's looking to just lead a healthier lifestyle and reach certain health goals. And I think in a sense, we do kind of touch on those glycemic foods, but not in a restrictive way. Just kind of similar to what you're saying, building that balanced plate. I always try to have carbs, fat, protein, fluid, fruit or vegetable on there, not because of glycemic index, but because it makes me feel better and it fuels me better and I stay full for longer and I get more micronutrients and macronutrients and so many other reasons than that. I think the glycemic index is just so nitpicky.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, I feel like every single diet is like that. It can be so specific and like you said, nitpicky on the things that you can have and this and that. Even with like macro counting, it's so specific to the point that it's like you're overthinking it. You're overthinking it way too much. Like just take a step back, and if you're, eating a good diverse diet, I mean, we're going to say this every single episode. If you're eating a good diverse diet, if you're, doing things that make your body feel good, you're going to be all right.
Yeah.
All right. But that's everything I got. That's my whole research.
That's interesting. And I want to touch on A1C really quickly because I know I mentioned it earlier and I didn't necessarily explain what it was. Your A1C is usually only taken if your doctor suspects that you have diabetes or prediabetes. So if you aren't at risk for it or your doctor doesn't suspect you have it, you probably never have had your A1C levels measured, and that's through a blood test. And basically, it's just an average of your blood sugars over the past 3 months. So that's why I was asking Kelsey if they analyzed A1C, because that would really show, if however long the study was conducted, was eating the lower glycemic index foods, helping with A1C if someone did have diabetes, or did it even have an effect on that? So I just want to touch on that really quickly because I realized I didn't explain it.
Yeah. And the meta-analysis I looked at for diabetes, they talked about that.
I did. Thank you for bringing this up, Kelsey. I think it was such a good idea and really good timing. I'm glad that you brought this in as your research.
Thank you. I really enjoyed talking about it.
Me too.
All
right, guys.
I'm excited for your recipe.
Oh, just you wait. It's going to be great. We will see you guys after the break.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Hey. Howdy.
We back.
All right.
Better than ever.
Back and better than ever. What's that from?
I don't know. I was just talking.
That's from something that's going to bug me. Anyways, recipe segment time. So we have had a weird cold spell here in Arizona, or at least in Tucson, where I live, where I reside, over the past week or two. And Arizona just obviously doesn't get really crazy winters or anything, but it'll get down to like in the 40s during the winter and sometimes 30s at night. So it gets like fairly cold, not warm by any means. And this past week and last week, it's been 40 degrees at night, 50 in the morning, and it'll get up to around like 75 in the middle of the day. So
You mean like fall?
but this is abnormal for Arizona. Normally, right now in October, it's like still bathing suit weather, hang out by the pool, sweltering.
Jealous.
So yes, it is more like normal fall, but it's very abnormal for Arizona. So I'm living it up. I'm loving it. And because of that, I was very inspired to make a traditional fall meal that I feel like, or even a winter meal that I feel like just makes sense when it's cold. So I made chili.
Yum.
Yes. Yum. So good. And I also a few weeks ago, or a few months ago, actually no, it was a few weeks ago, I bought a packet of 3 sets of ground turkey, and I had a bunch of them in the freezer for later use. And I was like, what better time if I'm making chili to make turkey chili, because I have this ground turkey sitting in my freezer. So
that is the perfect fall food. When I was growing up, we would do like my neighborhood would have like big neighborhood parties together.
Like a block party.
Yeah, we'd have like block parties, like especially in the summer, we do it once a week. They do this thing called Flamingo Fridays, where one person would put the flamingos out in their front yard, and then whoever had the flamingos outside of their house had the party on Friday night.
That's so cute.
I know. We had like 80 houses in our neighborhood, and it was just a bunch of families with young kids. It was perfect. It was like
Did everyone participate in these block parties?
Pretty much.
Wow.
Pretty much.
My neighbors, I mean, we had like nice neighbors growing up, but we weren't that. I don't think everyone would have participated.
Oh my gosh. I have so many like faux parents, because all of them, like every single parent in the neighborhood knew every single kid. It was so good. Like we would go and
I love that.
It was so nice. Like we could in the winter they had like we called it the ditch, but it was just like a kind of I guess it was a ditch. I don't know, like a little pit, like where when it snowed, we'd all sled into it, and it was like a whole other side of the neighborhood from my house. But if we were down there and we got really cold or had to go to the toilet or something, we could just go to one of the neighbors' houses, and they'd be like, "Yeah, sure, come on in." Like it was so sweet. But in the fall, we would do pumpkin carving parties. Because we were so extra. It's like, so whenever I tell all my Kiwi friends about all the things that I grew up, they're like, you are so American. And I'm like, I know, it's great.
It's amazing.
It's so fun. But they would make these huge pots of chili. And so whenever I think about chili, I do think about like fall and pumpkin carving and all the good stuff.
Yes.
Perfect. I love it.
Yes. So I was really excited about that. Plus I feel like, my husband has 3 sets of grandparents, and one set of grandparents, the family all kind of takes turns bringing them meals one night a week, just to help them out. And our night is Wednesday nights. So I also thought, what a great dish to bring over. And it's super easy to make. Put it in the crock pot, or you could cook it on the stove, just depending on what you want to do. Bring it over in the crock pot so it stays warm. So it's just great all around. And similar to what we talked about last week, how you used coconut sugar because you had it on hand, you're using up the ingredients in your kitchen. I used ground turkey for this because, like I said, I had bought a bunch of packs of it at Costco a few weeks ago, and it was sitting in my freezer, so I wasn't not going to use it. But I'd like to point out that you can absolutely use beef if you want to use beef. You can use a vegetarian option if you want to use that. I didn't use turkey chili for really any other reason besides it was my fridge. But I do like to point out, I do prefer to buy ground turkey more often than ground beef, just because I feel better after eating it. But that doesn't mean that I never buy ground beef. So again, it's really just up to you and how you're feeling, how it makes you feel, and what you're craving.
You want to hear a weird thing about New Zealand?
Do they not have ground beef or something?
They don't have ground turkey. Well, you can't really get turkey.
Really?
They don't have turkeys here. So
are they just not native to?
No, and like turkey is like a really weird food to have here. So
that's interesting.
So the options are ground beef or ground chicken, which they call mince. It's either chicken mince or beef mince.
Huh. So they don't say, like on the package, they don't say ground beef, they say minced beef.
It's mince.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's
But I
so
can't
weird
get
to me because growing up in New
yeah.
England, turkeys were such a huge part. Like, besides eating them, I mean, literally,
They're all over the
wild
place.
turkeys just walk around, like
Yeah.
parking lots, through the woods, past our house. Like, it's
Same
just
with
such a
Pennsylvania. Everywhere.
so that's interesting.
I
Oh,
know.
so I used some minced turkey in this turkey chili recipe.
Love it.
Yeah, it was super easy. You just brown the beef or the turkey if you're using that, or chicken or anything else. Brown the onions, and then just kind of put everything together in a pot and simmer it, or put it in the crock pot and cook it on low
Yes.
for a bunch of hours. And we'll have the actual recipe and all the steps and everything on the Instagram. But it was really easy. It's so yummy, and it also, the other thing I love about it is you can make huge batches of it. So it just made it super easy to meal prep. So I had lunches, we had dinners. It was great.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that it's
Yeah.
a crock pot recipe too. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
putting things in crock pot or slow cooker, whatever you call it,
Mm-hmm.
is so it's just the ideal scenario because you throw it all in and then
Mm-hmm.
you come home from work later on or whatever and it's good to go and your house smells so good.
So good. And I was really excited about this recipe because you could do the crock pot option, or if you don't have to do the crock pot option, you could do it on the stove. Because there are some days when I have time to make it ahead of time and it just works out with my schedule better to have a crock pot situation. But then there
Mhm.
are some days when I'm way too busy and I just have to cook dinner in the moment. So it's nice to know that I could also just cook it on the stove. So it just kind of fits with every different lifestyle all around.
On the stove, did you use just like a regular sauce pot or did you use a
Mhm.
Dutch oven?
I just use a regular sauce pot.
Cool.
Yeah.
Easy.
And I
Yeah.
think it's you could use depending on because you could like double, triple the recipe depending on how much you want. I mean, you could literally make a huge batch and then freeze it.
Could you make like a Kevin from The Office pot?
You could make a Kevin. That was what I had in my mind. That big of a pot, like Kevin from The Office. If you don't know what we're talking about, Google
If you don't know
Kevin.
what we're talking about, you need to go educate yourself on modding.
But what? So they Google Kevin
Just
from The
literally,
Office chili.
if you look up Kevin chili, or if even if you look up big pot of chili, that's the first thing you're gonna see.
But yes, that's what I was picturing. Literally just a huge pot because it's so convenient.
Oh, love it. Oh, that's so
Yeah.
nice. That's like the
Yeah.
perfect fall recipe. So hearty and like, I don't know. I feel like chili is definitely one of those comfort
Mm-hmm.
foods. And the cool thing about it too is that you can make it in so many different ways. Like I feel like one of my favorite ways to make chili is to do like a chicken chili verde with like the
Oh, we're getting
white
fancy over
beans. Oh, I know. Do it with like white beans and chicken and like green tomatoes. So it's like really, I
here.
don't know. I feel like it
Ooh,
changes it up. It switches it up. But
colorful.
also like I just love a classic chili. I feel like
You know.
it was a normal food for us growing up, and especially because my mom's Southern, so we'd have it with cornbread.
Oh
So
yeah.
oh, amazing.
I used to hate cornbread growing up. Now, which is weird because it's such a New England staple, but cornbread is such a big thing on the East Coast or especially Massachusetts. And I grew up hating it. And the only way I like it now, but the only way I'll eat it now if it's very warm and just drenched in butter. I cannot eat it any other way.
In the
I
South, we
refuse.
have it with honey, honey
Yeah, I
on
can't
corn.
eat it like that.
Oh,
I
it's
need it
so
with
good.
butter. But yeah,
Oh, I
so
love
the other
that.
thing is too, I was gonna say is I probably would when I sit down to eat this, which I'm actually after we get off this podcast recording, I'm gonna go make another batch to eat for Joe and I for dinner. I usually stick a vegetable on the side of it because the chili itself doesn't have a lot, like depending on what you put in it, a lot of veggies, and I just feel so much better when I eat veggies, and I love incorporating them in my day-to-day life. So I'll probably add some on the side too.
Nice. I would probably do personally, I would do like a bowl of chili and then a piece of cornbread and like some steamed broccoli. Sounds good.
Oh, some broccoli. See, I was thinking Brussels sprouts. I feel like either of them would work
Oh,
really well.
Brussels sprouts in the fall,
Oh,
so
chef's
good.
kiss.
They're the best. Or like blistered green beans. Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
that's a good one, actually.
That
That's
is
a good one.
a stellar thing. And a good thing about chili too is that I feel like it's so good for leftovers and like if you're doing any meal prepping because
Hmm.
you can just pop it in a little container and heat it up when you get to work or however you want to do it.
Yeah.
You can also freeze chili. I mean, you can freeze anything except for eggs in a shell. I think that's the only thing you can't freeze.
That would be gross.
Literally, it would be gross. But like I'm doing a culinary.
I know. I saw the wheels turning.
Yeah, like right now I'm working on getting my culinary nutrition expert certification. And the one thing that they went over with freezing is you can't freeze eggs. And I feel like there was one more thing, but now I'm drawing a blank. But you can freeze anything. But yeah, I mean, just you can do individual containers, pop it in the freezer, and then when you're ready to go, pull it out. And another thing with just storing food, freezing food, things like that, a lot of my clients deal with like mental health issues or things like that. And having food in personalized containers, like personalized portion sizes ready to go in the freezer that you can just pull out, pop in the microwave, pop in the stove really quick is so, so important for anyone that struggles with any type of mental illness, health issues, anything like that, where it's just like, if you're just super busy or you got kids and you're doing stuff, having food ready to go. So if you're able to, if you have one day where you're like, I feel like making chili, make a massive pot, put some in the freezer. And then when you're not feeling it or really busy, pull it out because you're ready to go. You've got something on hand.
And that's a wrap, folks. We love chili. We're stands of chili. Go home and make chili tonight.
Chili stands.
And we'll catch you after this break with our question and answer segment.
Yay!
Yay!
See ya.
Bye. All right, we're back.
Are you all good?
Yeah, we're good. Okay. I don't hear it. We're right back. All right. So welcome back. In case you weren't wondering, we're back.
We're here.
So if you didn't guess already from the title, I'd take it with a grain of salt. Then we are talking about carbs for our question and answer session today.
Yeah, we got a lot of questions about carbs just in general. I feel like there's so much misinformation out there. And I know that we talked about this with our research segment as well, but I don't know. I think a lot of people just have questions about it. So we wanted to clear some of them up.
Absolutely.
All right. Shall I ask question number 1?
Yes, go right for it.
Okay. So this question
is like 14 questions all in one.
I know. This is a long question with a lot of different questions in it. So I think maybe we just rapid fire.
Let's do it.
Okay. So this is the whole question that someone asked. What are grains anyways? Why do we need them? Why are people so scared of them? And why do people say carbs are bad?
Wonderful set of questions. Rapid fire.
Yeah.
So what are grains anyways? Grains are carbs, for simply put. And depending on if they're processed or not, grains can be complex or simple carbs. So they could be complex carbs, they could have fiber in them, or they could be more broken down carbs, which are simple carbs. They could be more like sugar. That's a rapid fire, simple answer.
Love it. Yes, they are carbohydrates. They can include like whole grains such as wheat, rice, quinoa, bulgur, farro, things like that. Also, grains can include things like bread and pasta and biscuits and things like that. So anything that's really made from a wheat grain or any other type of grain is in that grain category. Why do we need them?
For energy. And micronutrients.
Yes.
And fiber.
We need them for fiber. And all the micronutrients in them, super important. Things like B vitamins are like so important. Iron, folate, so many great micronutrients in there. Also, our brains really need carbs.
It's our body's primary source of energy is carbohydrates. Don't skimp out on carbs.
And that brings us to the next question. Why are people so scared of them?
I honestly think it's twofold. I think first it's diet culture. Yeah. And it's just a diet culture. I mean, if you really think about it, there's a fad diet for everything. There's every single type category of food at one point has been villainized, for lack of a better phrase. So I think it's just diet culture finding another reason to say, another way to get people to buy diets, to buy into programs, and just to increase their revenue, to be honest. And then also I think it's obviously clear in society that people say that desserts are bad, sweets are bad. And we all know that desserts and sweets are sugar, and that's carbs. So people, I don't think it's people's fault. I think it's diet culture's fault, kind of takes that to the extreme and then applies that to all carbohydrates, which isn't fair at all. First of all, the sweets, because hello, I love sweets, and they can fit in a healthy diet. But second of all, not fair to fruits and vegetables and dairy products and grains and things that have carbs in them. They're also very beneficial to us. So
yeah,
there are no good or bad foods. Every food just has a purpose.
Very well put. And that kind of answers the last part of that question, which is, why do people think carbs are bad? Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I skipped ahead.
No, I mean, they were pretty much the same thing. It was like, why are people scared of them? Why do people think they're bad? People are scared of them because they think they're bad. Why do they think they're bad? Because people just associate carbs with sugar. There's so many different types of carbs, and they're all important for your body.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Love it. Okay, rapid fire. Next question.
Okay.
Why do I crave carbs so much? I just want all of the pasta, noodles, and rice. So I think actually, Kelsey, you kind of answered this in our first episode.
Yes. I talked about it with sugar, but I think for carbs, you probably want carbs a lot because you're not eating enough carbs. If you have thought, even just a thought in your brain that goes, I can't have these carbs, your body's going to go, ooh, I need those carbs. I need them right now. And especially if you're acting on those thoughts and not giving yourself carbs, oh my gosh, you need them. Our bodies like thrive on energy, and carbs are one of the first places that we get energy. When we break down food nutrients in our body, the first thing we break down is carbs. It goes carbs, then protein, and then fat is like the ranking of how our bodies
carbs
food.
Are digested the fastest, then protein, and then fat takes the slowest to digest.
Right. So we get immediate energy from carbs, and we use it for a lot of important things. We use the micronutrients, we use the glucose for things like energy and things like brain function and body functions. Like, it's so important to have. And if you're finding that all you are craving is carbs, it's probably because you're not having enough carbs.
Yes. And I think that also ties into eating a balanced plate. I think it's so important to have on every plate and snack to try to have protein, a fat, complex carb, a fruit or a vegetable, having those grains in there and having those carbs so that you aren't depriving yourself, so that you're getting a well-rounded balanced plate, so that you can satisfy that craving, you can satisfy your body's need for that energy, and you're not having to constantly be thinking, why am I craving all these carbs? I want all these things, because you're eating them.
And another thing, too, to think about is if you're restricting in any way, whether it's carbs or other types of food or other times that you're eating or things like that, if you're restricting in any way, your body is going to go into that mode of, oh my gosh, I'm really hungry, I need fast energy, which is why you might be craving carbs, because your body's going to go, I need energy right now. Carbs are going to give you that energy right now. So that could be why, you're wanting more of that. And also keep in mind, every body is different. So you might need more carbs than another person. You might need them more than your roommate or your boyfriend or husband or wife or, whoever is around you. Always keep in mind, just to keep your blinders on. I have to remind a lot of people that. Keep your blinders on. Whatever makes you feel the best might not make other people feel the best, and what they're eating isn't going to make you feel your best. So you're going to be the only judge for that. And if you find, I feel like I'm eating so many carbs, but it makes me feel good, keep doing it. That means it's working.
Absolutely. And that will change day to day too. There'll be one day when your body needs more carbs for whatever reason, and the next day you won't need as much.
Yeah.
Our bodies tell us what we need.
Definitely. Our bodies are not machines. We are not one in, one out. We are organic organisms, and we ebb and flow.
We are organisms.
We are organisms that change every day, and that is normal and good.
Okay, next question. What is the real difference between good carbs and bad carbs? First of all, there are no good or bad carbs.
No such thing as good or bad food.
No such thing as good or bad food. But I would like to say, I think I'm not really sure what they're referring to as good carbs, to be honest, because, I mean, I think it's different for everyone because diet culture has victimized grains. They've victimized dairy. Those are both carbs. So
They victimize fruit.
They victimize fruit. So I'm not really sure, whoever asked this question, what you're thinking as good carbs, but I'm pretty sure you think as bad carbs, sweets, desserts, and things like that. So the real difference is kind of what we were talking about before, is how the grains are processed. And if you're thinking about that grain, that kernel that has the bran, germ, and endosperm in there, if it's processed and you're breaking down that flour to more white flour versus wheat flour, you're removing a lot of those micronutrients and fiber. And basically the difference between, I would say, as an overarching statement, I feel like I would be able to safely say the main difference between quote unquote good and bad carbs is complex versus simple carbs. Simple carbs are more broken down. It's sugar, essentially. Complex carbs are more complex, harder for your body to break down because they have things like fiber in them.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think if we can remove the term good or bad and instead just say, these are more broken down and these are not as broken down, or these are more whole, I guess, is just the difference there. But that doesn't mean that you can't have one or the other. It just means, it's okay. It's good to have diversity there. It's good to have some whole grains, and it's good to have some simple carbs too. Whole carbs and simple carbs. And I know we talked about this with sugar, but it's good to have some, fast acting energy in there, especially if you're an athlete, especially if you're in need of some energy. It's really good to have those things, and just for your mental health and your, behavioral health and social health and things like that. It's good to allow things like that into your life and into your lifestyle.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And that reminds me of the thought I had when you were presenting your research, and I said I would give it later and then I forgot about it. But I was going to mention that simple carbs, you mentioned the athletes, and that triggered my memory. I was going to say, even if you're not an athlete and you're needing some type of energy to get you through a workout, or if you're really starving after a workout and you need to refuel, that's where simple carbs really come in too, because your body takes them in real fast. So don't be afraid of sugar.
Yeah. Don't be afraid of sugar.
Don't be afraid. Okay, last but not least, as a vegetarian, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. Go.
As a vegetarian, I feel like I eat heaps. I'm saying it like that because whoever wrote it capitalized it. I feel like I eat heaps of carbs to fill myself up. I need options.
Okay, so if you're a vegetarian, that means that you're not going to have any meat options, but that does mean that you can still include other things. And if you're finding that you're wanting a lot of carbs as a vegetarian, that probably means you need some other things in there too. So I would say you're probably just you need some other sources of energy. You can definitely eat your carbs, but go for some proteins like eggs, cheese, beans, legumes. Even if you're into tofu, tempeh, things like that. I know that some people aren't, some people are. But go for it, because the more that you have those other foods in there as well, the less that you'll be, just craving everything and anything.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. If you're feeling, because of the capitalization, I am assuming that you just feel like you're eating so many carbs and you're never feeling full. It's probably because you're not eating that balanced plate that I always preach about. Try to add more protein sources, try to add in more fat. I don't know what type of vegetarian you are, if you do eat eggs or if you do eat dairy, but if you do, those are great sources of protein and fat. If you don't, get sources of fat from things like avocado, like Kelsey mentioned, eating tofu, trying to build that balanced plate. Peanut butter, hemp hearts are a great source of omega-3s and protein. Try to build that balanced plate, because then it'll fill you up a lot better and it'll keep you full longer as well. So I agree. Great answer, Kelsey.
Thank you. I think that's all the questions we had this week, though.
That's everything we have for this episode. So thank you guys so much for coming back and listening to another episode of the Taste Buds podcast. And
really appreciate you all.
Really appreciate you all. Please leave us a rating and a review. And don't forget to submit more questions.
Please, yes. In our link in bio, you can find all of our links to ask us a question, find us on YouTube, find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast. And like April said, it really, really does help us out. If you give us a rating or even write us a review is so fabulous. So please feel free to do that. We'll really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we will see you next week.
Thank you so much. Talk to you
Thank
soon.
you, guys. Bye.
Bye.